How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Coach Javi here. Today we're doing a much anticipated pre-match preview of Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester United at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's interesting because this match, maybe a few years ago, probably would have been a lot bigger or had a lot more meaning than it does right now. Both teams are sitting in the bottom half of the table. Manchester United in 13th, Tottenham Hotspur in 14th. Both of these clubs supposed to be part of the Big Six, and their current form this season has been extremely poor. We're going to talk about all of that in this video. Before I move on though, just a reminder, whenever we do these pre-match previews, you do get an opportunity to guess what the score will be. If you get it right, you're going to get some Next Goal Wins TV stickers, and you're also going to get some Champion Grind grip socks provided by my boy Georgie over at Champion Grind. So we'll even let you pick. You can go black or you can go white if you get it right. So far, we've done like 6 or 7 of these. Not a single person has actually gotten it right. So I'm hoping someone at some point is going to win these. So make sure you guys comment down below what you think the score is going to be at the end of the match. So the way we're going to break down this video, as usual, we'll go over the league standings, their current form, injuries, predicted lineups, and then finally my predicted score. So let's take a look at the Premier League table. As I mentioned earlier, both of these teams have fallen really low. Whoever wins this match cannot go above 11th spot, so they'll still be in the bottom half of the table. But I think for these two teams, as we get into the final third of the season, they want to make sure they're nowhere near the relegation zone. And right now, they're a lot closer to the relegation zone than they actually are to the top 6. It's also going to be a big match for both managers, probably a little bit more for Big Ange, because we know that Ruben Amorim inherited this team. He's made it worse because he said in all of his interviews as he came on that it was going to get worse before it got better, just because he's changing the entire style of play. He's trying to fit old players into a new system, and so it's not going to work for a while until finally, hopefully for him, it works at some point. But I think Manchester United has made it pretty clear that no matter what happens, as long as they're not in the relegation battle, they're going to keep Ruben Amorim in charge at least until next season, give him the summer transfer window, and then see what he does next season. As for Big Ange though, he's walking on a very tight rope right now. Not some great results recently, which we'll get into in a second, but I think this is one of those matches that at any moment Big Ange doesn't change things around, it's going to be the end of his tenure at Tottenham Hotspur, and it probably should be the end of Daniel Levy's tenure as the chairman of Tottenham as well. So with all of that, let's go into their current form. As for Tottenham, very disappointing results. The only teams that they've beaten are Brentford 2-0 and Elfsborg 3-0 in the Europa League. And so Elfsborg, obviously it should be a win all day no matter who you're playing. Brentford was the only good win that they've had against Premier League opposition. They lost against Leicester 2-1. They got smacked by Liverpool 4-0, and then Aston Villa beat them 2-1 in the FA Cup as well. So little by little, Tottenham starting to drop out of competitions. Again, makes it a little bit more worrying for Big Ange and his job. As for Manchester United, they just recently beat Leicester City 2-1. They lost to Crystal Palace 2-0. They beat FCSB 2-0. They beat Fulham 1-0, and they beat Rangers 2-1. So when you look at their recent results, Manchester United not as bad as maybe 6 or 7 games ago when they were really struggling. I still agree with Ruben Amorim that this is the worst team in the history of Manchester, but only because it's being designed to be broken down before it gets better. And I think Ruben Amorim has just a little bit less pressure than Big Ange, so based on the current form, it's probably looking pretty good for Manchester United, although they are playing at Tottenham, so that home field advantage is going to help Big Ange just a little bit. So now let's take a look at the injuries, because this is obviously going to take us the majority of this video, is the injuries specifically just for Tottenham Hotspur. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players right now currently on the injury list, while Manchester United only has 4. And to be honest, Manchester United's 4 are nowhere near as important as Tottenham's 10. So Tottenham, Brennan Johnson, Christian Romero, Destiny Udogie, Dominic Solanke, Vicario, James Maddison, Mickey van de Ven, Dragusin, Werner, Odobert. So the question marks for Tottenham for me are going to be Christian Romero. Is he going to be fit in time for the game? And obviously you guys know I record these videos 2 or 3 days before the actual match, which means there's a lot of time for players to come back from fitness, new players to get injured, so I could be completely wrong by the time the lineups are announced. But I have a feeling that Christian Romero will be back. The only other one that Tottenham would really like to have back is Mickey van de Ven. Big Ange mentioned this in one of his press conferences, that Mickey van de Ven is slowly getting back to full fitness, but he wasn't ready for a really high caliber level of opponent just yet. I think he's going to need him right now if he's anywhere between 85 to 100% Mickey van de Ven has to play, because if not, this could be the end of Big Ange. He's not going to be around long enough to see Mickey van de Ven get back to full fitness. So I think he's hoping and he's praying that Van de Ven is back, because that'll help him in the back line. As for Manchester United, the only player that they're going to be missing, obviously you guys already know, Lisandro Martinez tore his ACL just recently, which means that now they have Johnny Evans, Lisandro Martinez, both center backs. It's hard because when you play with a back three, you really need three true center backs in order to make the formation work. And so now that Johnny Evans and Lisandro Martinez are both out, you don't really have a replacement in case De Ligt, Maguire, or Lenny Yoro also get injured. So if one of them gets injured, I think he's going to force Diogo Dalot or Mazraoui to play in that center back position, but I think that's just going to cause a lot more criticism from the fans, because he's really then starting to force players in positions that they don't play. I think when almost everyone from Manchester United is healthy, he's actually very close in the positions that he wants to put the players based on his formation. But right now, like I said, he's starting to run thin on center backs, but he'll be okay as long as none of the three center backs that he'll have for this match get injured. So now let's go into the predicted lineups. For Tottenham, it's so difficult because they have so many injuries, and it's always one new player is out, one new player is back, and then that new player only lasts a game, and then he's back out, and then they got these new signings that they're trying to put in. It's very difficult to predict Tottenham's lineup. We're going to start with Kinski in goal. I think that's not going to change right now, though he has been a little bit shaky. He's made some serious mistakes in their last couple of matches. He's not looking as confident as he did in his very first match for Tottenham. His position's starting to be a little bit questioned right now, but I do think he's going to start. I think the outside backs are pretty set. Pedro Porro and Jed Spence. Spence, I really like him. I think he's a good player. I think he's got a lot of potential for the future, so I'm glad that he's been getting some consistent starts for Tottenham. In the center back position, I think he can go a couple different ways. I don't think he's going to put Davies in there. I think he's going to keep Danso. Danso's the new signing. He played as soon as he got in. I think he'll keep him there in the center back position, and it just depends. If he gets Van de Ven healthy, Van de Ven will play. If not, I think if Romero is healthy, he'll put Romero, and then if he's not healthy, then he'll put Archie Gray, and we all know Archie Gray is in the center back. At this point, he is a center back because he's been playing there for almost a couple months now at this point. So Archie Gray, or he could put Davies in there. So he has a few more options as far as the center backs, depending on whether Christian Romero and Mickey van de Ven come back in time for the match. In front of them, I think he's going to go with Bentancur and Bissouma, and then the three in front of them are going to be Mikey Moore on the right, Kulusevski in the middle, Mathys Tel on the left, and Heung-min Son up top. He started to put Richarlison. I've been saying this for a long time. Richarlison, the guy is not great. He's not a good player. In my opinion, I think he's far below the Premier League level, especially for a team like Tottenham that should be much better. I know he's had a lot of injuries in his career, but every single time he plays, he's just not convincing to me at all. And I think that's why he's starting to put Son as a center forward, to try and put him in that position similar to the Harry Kane position before Harry Kane left, because I think he can do a lot of the things similarly to Harry Kane. And I think he's trying to get him into that position because he's much more effective than Richarlison, and that allows him to put Tel underneath as one of the wingers. Mathys Tel has not had a great start, but only because they've been playing against some teams that Tottenham are not going to have the majority of the ball. They played against Aston Villa and Liverpool, and so it was difficult when you're always defending, or when you're defending a little bit more than you're attacking, for a player that needs the ball at his feet, that needs to be creative, that his team needs to have possession in Mathys Tel. So hopefully this match we'll be able to see exactly how good Mathys Tel is. As for Manchester United, Onana's going to start in goal. The only three center backs that he has is Lenny Yoro on the right, Harry Maguire in the middle, and Matthias de Ligt on the left. Mazraoui and Dalot are going to be the two wing backs. Those guys haven't changed. The only times they've changed is when he's had to put Mazraoui or Dalot as a center back just to cover for one of the ones that was injured. I think as long as Kobe Mainu runs, because the guy gets lazy sometimes. Honestly, I watch him and I'm like, dude, you look like you're 30 years old the way you're running out there. As long as he's running, I think he could be a very good player. Next to Ugarte, who puts in a lot of tackles, who's a workhorse. I think those two make a pretty good pairing when they're in form. Ahmad is going to be playing underneath the central striker, and then I think he'll keep Fernandes in that position as well. However, I think it's finally time to make a change for the long term, and that's where Zirkzee comes in for Højlund. I think Højlund has underperformed for so long. Zirkzee is not that much better. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a big believer that Zirkzee is a center forward. I actually think he plays better underneath, but when you think about the lackluster performances that we've seen from Rasmus Højlund, I think he has to put Zirkzee there. I think Zirkzee's given them a little bit of a spark when he comes on as a sub, and even though he hasn't played necessarily well as a starter, I just don't see what Højlund does for Manchester United. I'm sorry, guys. If you're a Manchester United fan, please explain to me what Højlund gives you guys at all, because I think it's better to play with 10 players than it is to play with 11 and Højlund up top. I'm being a little dramatic, but I think Zirkzee should start, and I think he should be the number 9 from now on, at least until Manchester United can find a better player. So how is this game going to play out? I think it's actually going to be a lot more entertaining than people think, because I think Manchester United don't do a great job of keeping the ball. Tottenham are very back and forth, lots of defending, lots of attacking. I think the game's actually going to get stretched out quite a bit, and it's two teams that are definitely not going to play it safe. You guys already know who Big Ange is, how he sets his high line, and Manchester United has some interesting players like Bruno Fernandes who can really create a lot of opportunities, as well as Amad Diallo, who's got a lot of confidence. He likes to go at players, scored some late winners. I think for sure there's a lot of goals in this game. I just don't see a clear winner right now. I think Tottenham has the home field advantage. I think Manchester United is in a little bit better of a moment confidence-wise. Ultimately, what I think is going to happen is a 2-2 draw, and we're not going to see a winner, unfortunately. However, we should see at least 4 goals in this game. So you guys let me know in the comment section down below what you think the scoreline is and how you think the game is going to play out. And then the final question I have for you guys before I end this video is, if Tottenham lose this match, is that the end of Big Ange? Does that mean that Daniel Levy is finally going to sack him, or will he give him a little bit longer and see if he can turn things around once he starts getting a lot more of those injured players back and healthy? And as for Manchester United, does this put Ruben Amorim at risk at all if he loses this match? The results haven't been great, but they haven't been terrible if you look at their current form. So how long are the Manchester United supporters going to blame the players before they eventually start saying that Ruben Amorim does have to go? Again, I don't think they're going to sack him. I'm just starting to ask questions because I think it's a legitimate question given the performances that they've had. So once again, guys, go ahead in the comment section and predict what the score is going to be, so you have the opportunity to win some Next Go Wins TV stickers, as well as some champion grind grip socks, baby. That's it for this one, guys. We'll catch you in the next one.